is the co-founder of Forces Renewal for Southeast Asia, which is a network of scholars and activists. Really good to have you with us, Maung. Let's start with this partial pardon of Aung San Suu Kyi's lengthy prison sentence. What do you think is the rationale behind that?
Well, the rationale is, the military junta, finding itself in a very tight corner, and and so its allies and friends, such as China and Thailand in the region, partially the Singapore as well, advising the junta that the negotiated settlement, once again with Aung San Suu Kyi, would allow them to wiggle out of the situation that it has created. So as you know, since the coup in February 2.5 years ago, the military junta in Burma has been engulfed on multi-front, essentially the people's uprisings from all regions of the country. And so it thought that it could annihilate or destroy the resistance as it had done before, or over the last 60 years since it came to power in 1962. But its anticipation or calculations proven wrong, and the resistance is now in control of more than half of the country's territories, while the military junta remains in charge of several major cities and trading routes. And so they're trying to wheel out Aung San Suu Kyi in due course to pacify the resistance, to confuse the younger generation resistance leaders who support Aung San Suu Kyi, and then to co-opt the older generation, a bit tired and exhausted dissidents from Ms. Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy party. So this cannot be taken at face value. This is a cunning move, rather calculated by the military. They have resorted to this kind of confusion, co-optation, and destruction of the principal dissidents and resistance over the last 60 years. This is not new at all.
Now, is the military junta's rather tenuous grip on power, as you've described, is that also the reason why it's decided to extend this state of emergency declaration and postponed the elections that were due sometime before August?
That's right. Yeah, the military, the junta's head, Maung Zarni, who is, named essentially as the criminal general that has the command responsibility for the genocide against the Muslim Rohingya people 5 years ago, announced, about 6 months ago that come hell or high water, his regime is going to press ahead with the elections. Everyone knew that elections were, if the military had its own way, the schedule for essentially this month, August. And so obviously he had to heed the intelligence reports coming from various parts of the military's branches across the country that they are not in control of 200 or 300 townships. And so if you're not able to provide stability or peace or guarantee the safety of voters, the elections cannot be held. So this is the clearest indication that the military junta is not really in effective control of the country. The effective control of defined territories that make up a nation state or member state of the UN is really one of the fundamental requirements for a governing party to be considered legitimate representative, or either de facto or de jure. And so this regime is neither the qualifying these conditions. They are not in control. So what they want to do is, with the help of friendly and supportive governments that supply them with arms,
Yes.
like China or India or Thailand. All three countries supply weapons to the military.
Okay.
And then Singapore as well, one of the top five arms suppliers to the Burmese military junta. They are
Maung,
trying to wiggle themselves out of this situation.
yeah, so sorry to have to interrupt there, but Maung Zarni, we will have to leave it there. But thanks so much for shedding some light for us on the situation in Myanmar.